That little bit of business was dealt with. How are we?
Doing too bad. Not doing too bad. No. I was going to say enjoying the freedom, but I didn't exactly feel too cooped up.
The change of regime didn't impact your position.
What do you mean?
The new warden, is it? Has a particular sense of direction.
Surface level, yes. There's a different message, I'm sure. You know full well.
The rumor mill. One driven by a little Princess Elena. Was very comical to bear witness.
I had a few little run-ins with her, nothing. I didn't say much to her, just observations after you mentioned her. Didn't get...
I take it.
Sorry, Brian.
I take it that word of recent events managed to reach your ear.
No, funnily enough. They did throw me in segregation for a couple days before they let me out, and I haven't kind of just been gathering myself the past day or two. So this is one of the rare times where I don't really know what's gone on the past couple of days.
Where to begin?
It's always a good start. It means there's a lot.
I'm going to name names, and if you are familiar, then... And by familiar, I mean more anything that transpired. Then I can easily skip over them. Winston.
Nothing recent. Small conversation I had with Oshira 5-6 days ago. She told me she couldn't understand why she got sick. We had a little conversation about that. Seemed to think it was a warning.
A warning that was received loud and clear, even by some others of the BCSO. The intentions I did not reveal, but I suppose it is a moot point at this stage. Winston, the other night, was murdered by Norman.
Really?
I say murdered. Desecrated.
Yeah, the fucker was dead for a long time before that happened, I guess.
Reclaiming what he already owned, I suppose. Norman decided to rip out his heart and decapitate the body. The heart was given directly from Norman to one Etta, and the head delivered to one Flop.
Norman was a bit upset then. It's curious. Wonder what he did or didn't do in that regard to warrant that.
Dark dealings with Norman. Most tend to result in a single outcome.
I don't really believe in single outcomes, though. Everything is a main outcome. Like, there's something you want. You do something, you want a message or a grand statement, but the chain reaction off of that can cause so much more damage, whether it's a week later, a month later, years later. Could be in your situation a lot longer than that. If
Whilst I agree with the notion of multiple outcomes, possibilities, the dark dealings with Norman result in blood or death, one way or another. To those who have refused find themselves is the closing statement.
I do have a question, because I think just to, I guess, go off a little bit of a small tangent. I never, a few weeks ago, a month ago, I didn't think I'd be in a position where where I'd speak to you. You know, the warnings and what you were doing. You know, I take that very serious. So I have to ask, because I want to understand and be educated. How did or why did Norman get this position in the first place?
As frustrating as it may be, the binding of Norman in death is a question I do not have a direct answer to. I have my own experience, obviously, with Isaac. That was brought about in a different manner. You see, when I found Isaac, the potential he contained for being one of the golden greats, as they call them, your Leonardo da Vinci's, your Alexander Fleming's, Marie Curie, and the likes. He had suffered a great amount in his youth. In binding myself to him, I removed all memories of his youth, his brother, and the nasty business that occurred. I provided him knowledge to help humanity. A nudge, one could say. Death and his reasons unfortunately were soured by realization far too late. It took a great amount of energy and effort to remove Isaac from myself, as it will take a great amount of energy to remove Norman from death.
I did speak to him somewhat about that. I read something of his, and he spoke about, what was, I'm trying to remember the wording. One thing that stood out to me was if nobody could have it, or sorry, if he couldn't have it, nobody could. And to go out with a bang. Which I can see why that would bother you so much, because that is for somebody who, regardless of the dark dealings and the deals and so on, someone who so outside of that felt like they were doing what they were meant to do, and still, for the most part, you know, carried the message of death and did carry out that, to do what I guess he's thinking of doing is incredibly petty.
The humanity of Norman.
Yeah.
Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Whilst he may accept his fate, I doubt he would be willing to let go of such so easily.
Yeah, he did mention as much as anybody who, to his wording, anyone who knew how to get rid of him was more than welcome to try. But from what I read, and be interested to know if it's a lie, if it's bait almost in a way, that someone is to replace him, and to replace him is to give up everything. Absolutely everything.
Quite impossible with that accursed precursor.
I don't know if I... Maybe it's it's my human nature. I don't necessarily fully agree. Maybe it's the unique way that I think about it. I think on surface level, giving something up in its absolute, I agree, is probably impossible. But you take an action knowing the possibility of the results. Even if you do give up everything in that action, that last thing in other people's memories hangs on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
In that unique instance, I think that's the only way I could ever see that happening. But then
the
sorry,
notion that when your kind dies, you have two deaths. The physical passing of your life, but also the memory. That is why so many individuals try to leave a mark on the book of history so that they can try and cheat death for however long humanity remembers them.
Mm. Hmm. I think it's the ones that try to do that are the problematic ones. You could use the word pathetic. Those who do what they do for their own reasons and then leave their memories, I think that's better. I see your point.
Selfishness, a trait of humanity.
I'll take your word, because that's all I know, so. I'm curious. You point out traits of humanity. I have noticed, obviously, there are traits to yourself and Norman / Death, and I think for me, your instance is a little bit more curious. You entities have traits, no? You deal a lot in respect.
Something that has formed over many eons. A long, long time ago, I was more barbaric, primal in some form. Over time, processes are refined. I nudged humanity on how to deal with some of the larger or great plagues, and the lessons of such were learned. Mistakes still made, but the majority picked up on them.
Mm.
So many look to myself and see it as nothing but an evil deed to bring suffering and pain. But let me ask, in this depiction, I will reference the Garden of Eden, the act of Eve taking the apple, defying the will of the Creator. From that point onwards, the downfall of man. But the embrace of suffering, no longer caged within Eden, no longer stuck in a stagnant and lifeless life.
Mm.
Without suffering, you cannot feel alive. A reminder, even your first breath is one that brings pain. There's a harsh coldness of the air and life flow through you.
No, I definitely agree with that. Life is nothing without everything in between. Nobody, this comes from, you know, my perspective, nobody would be who they were, who they are, or who they will be without pain, suffering.
A series of lessons, opportunities for you to grow. And then you incorporate deals that Norman has made. That little timer above your head is a natural point of when your light will cease. Norman goes against that, seeks to significantly reduce or remove such time.
Has he, and this is where my education on Norman becomes an issue, because the fear of him has played into so many people that they either don't remember or don't want to remember the things that they've been through. For the most part, I am aware of the time he is extended unnaturally. I'm not aware of him taking people too soon. Or if he does one over the other, or...
Once someone has been taken too soon, he lords a frame of power over them, bringing them back, but they are in his service. Death is, and is supposed to be, neutral, to guide the dying into the beyond. Those that have forgotten, their mind is plagued by a thick fog of purgatory. Something that can be removed, mind you, but whilst the contract is still in, shall we say, effect, it cannot be nullified.
What stops you from intervening?
With Norman,
Yeah.
the artifact he holds,
The ring?
a nasty little precursor from Isaac's first marriage.
I read about that. So that keeps you from directly intervening.
Consider the body of water a proverbial barrier. I cannot commune or interfere with Death and Norman.
You can just make it difficult for him.
That is certainly one way of putting it.
I'm sorry, I apologize, it was a bit blunt.
The situation with Oshira. I was aware of a deal that was made, a threat upon her life. Norman thinks that by lashing out to the ones who are close, to the ones that have conversed with me or gained information, he can send that as a threat to oneself.
How do you take it?
A rather foolish attempt of a human.
I figured that's what you'd say.
I managed to converse with Matthew briefly.
Roads?
He was working near the food court of Senor Buns. Whilst I didn't get to speak with him, it still provided the opportunity to give him a sickness. The deputies of the BCSO were in the vicinity and tried to intervene to an extent. It's funny, there was one. She was absolutely terrified as I walked towards her, barricaded herself in the administration room.
You know who it was?
I am aware, but the individual has not poked their nose too deep. My focus is on a few others, but as you saw the meeting earlier with the sheriff.
Yeah. You can be, well, I was going to say powerful friends, but in my world, I suppose. I know that's not actually what was happening.
Well, what I tell you is strictly between you and I.
Of course.
The mutual goal that the enforcement have, removal of Norman, is certainly a bargaining chip to ensure, understand I'm not pleased with their digging. And I will only make things worse for them if they continue. So the sheriff understood that and will sufficiently pull reins on the dogs that try.
That's sorry, I had to. I'm not laughing at you or that statement. It's the dogs was it's interesting. That that was going around for a little bit. I don't know actually who started it, but I heard I was being called Norman's dog or Norman's hound, which I thought was quite funny. Which after a little bit of thinking I was alright with, because it told me that nobody knows or understands who I am or what I do and for what reasons that I do it. I think a younger me would have been more annoyed and lashed out and, you know, gone off and hunting or something, or, you know, to send a message, but it's better that people have a perception of you that is incorrect when you don't really give a shit about their opinions.
It is rather funny how so many misunderstandings, misconceptions, and even misinformation can be spun up. When they only try to view things from one side. There are a few individuals inside of the BCSO that have shown symptoms of being potential candidates for Norman's cult. Going even as far to try to prevent anyone from taking the treatment for the sickness that goes around.
Really?
They do not realize the amount of suffering they would cause in doing such actions. And forbid if anyone found out they were actively holding it away from them.
I'll never understand people. I've always struggled to understand other people's mindsets by my own. Especially when it comes to stuff like this. Trust me, the miscommunication and misinformation, I've dealt with that. I don't want to say more than anybody, but definitely the forefront of what I've dealt with for the past year in the position that I am in my club. Taking one side and running with it has been a common theme for far too long. However, I look at all that stuff as smaller, not unimportant, because it's still my life, and I will. However, I feel my time that I have is borrowed. I still live it. I still experience what I need to experience to make me who I will be.
Symptoms of being human.
What do you mean? Which symptoms?
The feelings, the situations you found yourself in
Hmm.
within your club,
Hmm.
misinformation and such, all of which stems from human emotion. Some individuals find it very difficult to approach a particular topic head on. Others fear they will end up putting themselves in a certain light that is not intended. Someone with good intentions may present something, and then the other side will take that and twist it.
Hmm.
It all is, for you and your kind, just a matter of being human. To come to an extent of understanding and acceptance of such will bring more peace. There are many who do not have the patience for that. Unfortunate.
I think it'd be a very different world if the majority did. I think it could be. I'm saying this to you, so you'll know if I'm talking at my ass or not. I'm sure you're aware of Sanguine and all that. That happened 6 years ago now, maybe a little bit more.
A sore topic for one Terence.
Yeah, it shouldn't be, but you never truly know what's going on inside someone's head. However, Sanguine for me was the day a very large part of me died and left behind. I don't know how to word it. Died sounds too fucking cliche. It's just, but I guess I lost a lot. As much as I could lose without crossing over. I never looked at people I cared about the same way. I never looked at life the same way. I still don't. I suffered a bad head injury, shot in the chest 3 times, and I woke up in prison with my old cut underneath my head, so covered in blood, and not knowing where I was. Actually, I thought I was back in Ireland. I didn't know where I was, who I was with. I walked out to what was half my club, but to me were complete strangers. And even when I started to remember, it was just, I couldn't trust my own memories. People would tell me things, and I would think to myself, is this, because it's never really your own memory then, right? If you don't know it and someone tells you what it is.
The mind has so much potential. Unfortunately, your medical science has not reached a stage of understanding.
No.
Whilst you say you feel you lost it, the reality is it was never truly lost. It was merely compartmentalized, locked away in a portion of your mind.
Yeah. I think that's what I've come to understand. And as much as you may hate, well, I don't know, hate. What word would you use? Your feeling towards Norman, not death, but Norman. Just so I can use the right word.
Emotions in the human sense, I suppose. For sake of conversation, you could use the term despise. Despise what has occurred to my sibling. The unfortunate circumstances we have found ourselves in.
Yeah. At first I thought it was death, but after reading some stuff about Norman, it definitely seems more the human element. Maybe it's a bit of both. The first time I spoke to him, he and for context, I didn't really know much about him. I knew about the warnings, you know, the similar to the warnings about yourself, you know, don't go near him, this, that, and the other, don't do deals, don't do this. And he, to be fair, caught me at a low point. And I was expecting, you know, a deal to be offered, some sort of torment or whatever. Instead, he told me stuff that he shouldn't have known, which solidified, as I approached you before, right? I approached him with the same thing, as for whether I believe it or not in that moment before I meet you, I will give you the respect for what you say that you are. And so that he gave me closure on something that I think would have held me back forever if I never got it. My sister died. I took it very much as my fault. A mistake that I made that got her killed, and the fact that I even brought her in the first place. So, but he just gave me closure for that. But that she didn't blame me or want me to feel certain ways about it. And I know this is very, I guess, a human thing to be talking about. If you're disinterested, and we can move on. I don't want to bore you with it.
This is your experience. Your feeling.
I guess what I'm trying to say is put the past year into a very different light for me. I look at things in a way that I never thought I would. And I think that's why I take so much interest in what's going on with yourself, Death, Norman.
You continue on, simply observing.
As much as I feel that I can understand yourself and Death and what Norman tries to portray as that, and Norman himself, I do still enjoy dealing with fucking rats that come here. Something you'd like dealt with?
Very much so. Do you know who that was?
No, I don't need to.
One
But
Charlotte Spade.
Ah, I've had a run-in with her before.
She is attempting to retrieve something from the island. The idea that a flower
Huh.
is able to assist them. Herself and one Snoopy tried to go over there earlier. I gave them a warning and removed their vision. If she is to go over there again, I will remove more than just that.
Well, if I hear that bike again, feel free to do it and I'll bring it right to you. Guess what I was getting to with this place. And it's the thing that and this is going to be my experience of it, is the thing that I will appreciate Norman for, is it's a two-pronged situation. He gave me closure on something I would never thought I would get, which has given me a very unique view of the last year and this current situation that this island finds itself in. And that lighthouse, the best way I can describe it and have described it to people is when you're in a room with somebody and you close your eyes and you can feel their presence. You know that that person is there with you. It's a feeling I haven't had since I had her bleeding out in my arms.
A point of comfort.
Because those two things are paired, it can never be held over me. I'll never feel tied to that place. I'll never let it be used over me. I am appreciative of it, and when it goes, it'll be its time to go. I think that's, I guess, what I was trying to get to is when something goes, unless it is unnatural, it's meant to go.
A time and a place for everything and everyone. And though some memories and feelings like that may cause discomfort or pain for some, it is a small reminder, gentle or even harsh, to the life you have lived. Are you familiar with the lady over there?
I didn't get a good look at her.
I believe her name is Ophelia.
Oh. Yeah, I'm very familiar. Not sure how much you'd remember of me, though.
Conversations she had with Norman Knight.
You said she had conversations with him?
Briefly spoke with myself, introduced herself, before heading over.
She'll be one to keep an eye on. Not sure. It's difficult. She's done some very, very bad things.
Observations should be had. At this moment, I think another warning needs to be given. Excuse me for a moment.
Take your time. If you need something a little more practical, let me know.
But for now, a slight display of ferocity is required. This dog is digging too deep.
I could sit here. Anyone who watches this fucking video, I don't know if he's gonna come back. I could sit here and talk to this guy for hours. It's so cool. It's just fucking cool, dude. I don't know if Sean will go.
heard about Winston.
I heard. You that surprised?
He knew better than anyone not to go making deals, particularly not ones he wasn't going to fulfill.
Hmm. Considering how he went out, I didn't think he'd be one to run from the Reaper, so.
No.
But he did.
Probably went against his morals or principles, whatever was asked.
Why are you here?
I don't have anything anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
Be careful with pestilence.
Why?
Disease can be even more deceitful than death, and you know how much like death likes to wiggle out of his deals and bargains when possible.
What's your opinion on it all?
I think forces bigger than us are playing a game and they're using all of us as pawns. And in the end, whatever happens will hurt everyone it touches.
I think you're right to a degree. I don't know about playing a game, but there's definitely stuff out of our control is the right word. Stuff will happen regardless of what we do. We can't stop it.
Anyone that thinks that they can play the angles to favor them is mistaking themselves.
I agree. I'm just here understanding.
It's fair. I still don't really have the full grasp of it myself. Pestilence used to be the man that was Norman's brother, and now he's not, and the whole thing. People assume that I know more than I do, so they tell me things.
Classic.
Hmm.
Well, from what I understand, I don't. Whether you take its word or not, it's fairly adamant that it's not human. It's not Isaac. It's not, you know. I think there's probably a different reason why it's inhabiting that body, but
I know that it doesn't like Norman, and Norman doesn't like it,
yeah.
but I think trying to play them against each other, it's going to end up with everybody getting hurt. And I know there are people who are going to get that in their head of Norman bad, let me use this guy against him.
Yeah. Equally the other way around as well.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like death and people don't like pain. Some
Both
people,
of those are inevitable.
yeah. The reason why we all are who we are.
Yeah. Fortunately, who we are isn't something that can be changed, I guess.
No.
Okay, I tried to deny that for a while, but now that it's too late, I remember who I am.
You know. You know until your time is up, it's never too late.
I just wonder if I missed my expiration date.
I think that's this. I think that as well. Sometimes we'll never really know. I think a good gauge would be if Pestilence took issue with you or I think I'd probably have a better idea if our time was actually up.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Didn't
seem to
really
like the unnatural.
Yeah, he didn't seem too bothered with me when I spoke to him the other day, so I assume I'm alright for now.
You didn't make any deals, did you?
I don't make deals.
I know. I had to ask.
Okay. Seen what the deals have done. We had Dundee's skull in the shed for weeks, and then the man's out and about and up to his own tricks, and no good came of any of it.
Didn't live through that, so.
I hear that BVMC is finally dead.
Nothing's ever fucking dead, apparently.
Unfortunate.
Well, for right now, it's dead. Who knows when somebody will drag it out of its grave.
Yeah, we'll get and what's his name that was never actually blooded out. We'll just run back and be like, hey, that's what I'm starting.
I've missed you.
Misty as
I
well.
know it's a shitty thing to say, considering.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I wasn't thinking about many of the others, but your name kept coming back to my mind. I think I fucked up back in April and it just all cascaded from there. I don't remember a lot of the details. It's fuzzy around the edges.
Oh fuck! Pestilence got her. Oh Christ! Fuck! I wish I was streaming for this, but also kind of, I'm happy that I'm recording it. Can you hear me?
This place is busy.
Don't get me fucking started. Told Norman he's just start charging people.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. It's so awkward. I hate doing that. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
It's a fucking. I hate that. It's fucking awkward.
Yeah.
I did hear what you said, and I told Norman he should start charging people.
Yeah. Passive income.
What did they say back in, what, 6 years ago? Money printers?
Yeah,
Basically would be one.
basically.
What were you reading?
I wasn't reading, I was writing.
Okay, same question.
I'm just trying to get my thoughts in order because I remember more now. I don't want to lose it again. So I was kind of starting at the beginning and gonna work forward with what I remember, getting it on paper, hide it somewhere secret, and then if something else happens, I don't have to reset again.
Fair enough.
Though apparently head trauma does wonders for memory loss if it's caused by conditioning. Feel more like myself now than I have for the last 3, 4 years. Ironic.
Silver lining? Not really. Fucking, you can punch me for that one.
No, it's okay. I'm sure you get enough.
Oh,
Lots.
don't get me. I've just done fucking 10 in prison for murdering someone, so.
Jesus, is that what the free Sean McQuillan was about?
Yes, it was. That's what that was for. I didn't start that. I was enjoying my new position as warden. I was very much enjoying it.
Nice. At least you're out now. Better or worse, I guess.
Didn't feel too cooped up. They put me in ad safe for a couple days, but other than that, felt fine, I guess. Been winding up a few government officials that sit on their moral high horses, so.
Yeah, is that making any progress in the good fight?
I guess what I enjoy doing, the repercussions are good in the good fight, I suppose, but the other stuff I just either has a message or I enjoy it or both.
Understandable.
Yeah, you probably understand that better than most. Maybe. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass now.
No, I can understand that. I think I'm back to doing things because I enjoy them category, and then the question is always is what do I enjoy and is it sustainable? Like a dog without a leash, or
What is with the people making dog references? You know,
Mhm.
somebody, I don't know who, started spreading around that I was Norman's hound. That I was his dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't see a muzzle, so I'm sure you'd bite any hand that tried to feed you.
Okay.
You're not the type to for that kind of work.
For somebody else's work? No. If it's mutual,
No,
then, you know, all the better. But no, I don't do anything fucking.
I think you're more of a house cat than a hound dog.
Really. That's what we're doing now. Some things ever fucking change. I can see you hiding your laughter.
I would never.
Yeah. But then you say you feel like, what, you're without a leash?
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me that's why you were talking to him. Faye.
About me is I'm someone who always has a project or a purpose or, something to get behind. And
Yeah, but you said yourself that these two are going to be at each other, and getting involved in that is going to do... I mean, technically, if you... we're all involved no matter what we do. Right? Death is, no matter what, is a thing, and pain and suffering is a thing, regardless of if they're putting focus on it or not. So what, you want a project? And that's why you were talking to Norman?
that's part of it.
I think Norman's a little bit preoccupied.
Yeah, he's not exactly a firm hand.
I could give you one.
You could.
Do you want that?
Yes.
Okay. I got two names for you. You can take your pick. One I want more involvement in than the other. Both government officials.
Okay.
Murray Faulkner, Arcadia Grayson.
Okay, you said they're government officials. Are they cops? Are they DAs?
Justices.
Justices. Okay.
One got, while I was in prison, got a brand new phone just to text me and ask me if I felt guilt for the people that I kill.
That's interesting. They couldn't just ask you that in person if they're gonna play moralizer.
I was talking to somebody else in the prison, and apparently, from what I heard, she came to the prison to visitation, got upset that I didn't go to see her, and stormed off. And got the lifers to tell me that I had missed my chance.
Oh no.
Oh,
How could you miss your chance to talk to the justice?
and then she texted me. So. This is diabolical.
She thinks she's doing good.
This is actually diabolical. Yeah. Let me... This is something you are actually... I can't believe I'm doing this. What's your state ID?
It is 1546.
That is all the current information on the... I say current, probably about a month old. Judges, justices that are currently active. Some of that information, particularly on Arcadia, is if that was relayed to her, she would know a certain person spoke.
Right.
Mainly
Keep it to myself.
I think Which bit is it? Don't know if you will have to keep it to yourself. If this is you, she's not gonna know anything. This is gonna blindside her if you... This is something you actually want.
I can see what I can do. What do you want then?
Have fun.
Okay.
I think she may be one that... She has no, from what I've seen, either no or very few personal connections, but she is very protective of her colleagues.
Including Falkman. Interesting.
You got a phone number?
Yeah. Second. 420
I can't believe I'm doing this.
901 8825.
I don't even know what to call this. I want to troll and call it like leash or something. This is something stupid. This was not on my bingo card.
I don't think it was on mine either. I recognized you when you were talking with him. I had to confirm and then wasn't sure if I'd approach after. I think if you'd left the vest on, I probably wouldn't have approached.
Yeah. Everything else aside, I understand if you hold resentment. I don't think you do, but
Not towards you, no. As it is, as far as I'm concerned, that whole slate's been wiped clear. There'd be no point in personal vendettas at this point.
yeah. Wait, what's that? You're better than most. Okay. As stupid as it sounds, I can't believe I'm fucking saying this shit, but if you want stuff to do like that, then yes. I would rather you do it for me than you do it for him, because there's, like we both said, there's bigger stuff going on.
Right. I understand.
You're fine.
I did miss you.
Yeah, miss you as well. It's good to see you, though.
Yeah. Glad you're relatively in one piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Knocking on death's door, almost.
Almost literally.
Here's my number.
Thank you. I'll see what I can find out about these names and I'll let you know. I'm not making any promises because it's justices and some of them can be elusive, but I'll see what I can do.
It's something we can help each other with.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it by yourself. I enjoy it just as probably as much as you do. So
Okay, it's good to know them.
if you're feeling lost, then I'm happy to do it with you.
Thank you.
Bro, I can hear footsteps all everywhere. There's somebody here. Alright. I don't know if he's coming back. I think he's gone to fucking...
What's he supposed to be?
I wasn't sure. He was dealing with something. Yeah. Fucking pain in the ass. I might stay here for a few more minutes and then head home.
Alright.
You have my number. Oh.
Yeah. I'll see you around, I'm sure.
More often by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
I have no words for that at all. Bro. Like, that could blow back so incredibly bad, but it also could be insane. I kept thinking I heard footsteps, but it might have been the flag. I also really need to pee. Been holding on, like needing to go to the bathroom for like an hour and a half. Longer than even the video is going. All right. See you guys.